Hello and welcome to Real WW Talk. I'm Rikki.
And I'm Candice.
So we are short one of the three amigas today. Erin had a busy month and she's got a lot of obligations, travel trips. So we are missing her, but she will be back with us soon.
And she's promised us food and dinner. So all is forgiven, but we're
Yes,
wishing her well. We'll see her.
yes, definitely. So how was your week, Candice?
Oh my goodness. My week was really good. I've been on back-to-back trips. My son turned 3 recently. So
Yay.
um I feel like I've just finally, I'm getting to a place of normalcy because when you're always kind of traveling, I'm sure Erin will talk about that when she gets back. When you're always on the go, sometimes you appreciate just being able to be home and in
Yes.
your normal routine. But I think I did really well. I told you all the last time that we spoke that I had lost because I was on vacation the week before and I lost weight,
Mhm.
and that happened again when I was gone to Sesame Place with my son, because who wants to pay for overpriced food at the parks? Not I. So we were able to really, most of the places that we went, we had a kitchen
Okay.
in our unit. So we were
So
able
smart.
to go to the grocery stores and come back to the units and cook instead of eating out because price of food has gone up so much. And
Yeah.
we like the food that we make. So my husband was like, "Hey, they have free grills here for us. Let's do this." I said, "All right." So I learned the power of using the local grocery stores and the in-unit stoves to save the day. So,
Wow,
yeah,
that's big. I mean,
yeah.
I feel like there is a huge association between travel and eating out. It feels like the vacation is also from the cooking and from the having to prepare food, but I feel like when you think about it practically with what you're saying, like life involves a lot of travel, and if you're eating out every single time you travel, that's not setting you up for success.
It gets so expensive. It's just ridiculous how expensive it gets. So
Mhm.
I'm proud of that. And also my activity.
Great.
Walking, I've been talking about that. Like we got up and did early morning walks. I got to see
Mhm.
new neighborhoods and new places. And, because sometimes you're used to your local walking trails at home.
Uh-huh.
But I like the fact that we were in a new place and I could,
Yeah.
see new things. So we got in over 10,000 steps, and being at the park, same thing.
Right.
So yeah. But how about
Awesome.
you? How was your week?
Good. Last week I feel like I was in a rut. I did some meal prep in a sense that I had some things in the house or in the freezer that I intended to make, but I just didn't want anything. So I had a picky week. And I know that's kind of part of my challenge in general too. Um, but this week I weighed in yesterday morning and I was down. So up last week, down this week. So it feels
Evened
good to
out.
break even now. Um, and I got a notification that my bike seat is on the way. A little nervous about the self-install part,
Yeah.
but I'm
For those
excited.
of you who don't know what she's talking about, with Peloton, they had a recall.
Yes.
I don't know, because the bike, something, it was all
Something
over the
about the
news.
bike seat. And, I'd been using the bike for 3 years, and I think recalls are because of an abundance of safety. I don't think it's because there's an imminent danger, but I had been using it less frequently because of that. So I'm excited to get back on there. And I went for a walk the other day, and I'm really trying to make that a thing on a regular basis again. I'm excited to join your challenge
Yeah.
and to challenge myself to do it every day and see how that impacts the habit in future weeks. So I don't know. Did you want to share anything about your challenge?
Oh, thanks. Yeah. I am starting a challenge on my Honestly Candice Instagram page because I didn't want to inundate the Real WW Talk page with, we all three have personal pages that are connected to our Real WW Talk. But on my Honestly Candice page, I felt like we needed a reboot, which is something we're going to be talking about.
We
And I
will.
said, why can't we just take 5 days to pick one hard thing and to
Mhm.
do it Monday through Friday? And that's it. That's the whole challenge, because I don't
I
like to
love
make it too difficult. I'm not going to do 7 days. Just pick one hard thing. You can go to my
Mhm.
page, sign up if you'd like to do it. But I think that sounds like a great thing for you. I love
Mhm.
that as an option, because I think it's the consistency that can be
Yes.
the challenge.
Yeah. And I go back to Atomic Habits, and I know we'd share this book a lot, but the consistency of the man going to the gym every day, going to the gym. I think he like would do 5 minutes and leave. And some
Mhm,
people would look at that and say, that's ridiculous.
mhm.
But how many times people can say that they've gone to the gym every single day? And then the goal obviously is to increase that. You're not going to pay for a gym membership and only go 5 minutes a day. But if that works for you and that's all you can do, I mean, and that's helping and not hurting your lifestyle, I mean, maybe that works for you. I probably most people would increase that, but the consistency.
Rikki, I'm just so glad you said that because it's funny. I just did a video where I was talking about that because it annoys me. It
Mhm,
annoys me. And for myself also to always feel like it has to be this huge goal for
mhm,
it to be impactful. Like
right.
unless I am doing 45 minutes at a
Mhm,
level 10 in intensity on the bike with weights in my hand, if I don't do it that way, it doesn't count.
mhm,
5 minutes is something that we minimize, even if
yeah,
you were to be doing it consistently and incrementally.
you
I
do.
I don't I think we have been set up as a society to think that it has to be huge. So
Yeah,
I'm glad that even you're attacking that as how do we celebrate ourselves for doing
mhm,
just whatever it is that we can do. Because you and I went on a walk together,
mhm,
and have done that over the summers and stuff, and we may have started off where we may not have been able to do as much, but
mhm.
it grew over time, like,
It
the amount
did.
that you were able to do, and you felt good.
Yes, and again, it was that consistency and coming back and doing it on the days we didn't feel like doing it. I think that is incredibly helpful and
Mhm.
builds those habits and helps us in the future to be able to do the harder things.
And let's talk about so look, I'm gonna do the let's talk about why we're talking about this episode today, because Rikki had to do a reboot.
Hmm,
I'm putting her
mhm.
on the spot. She's so excited. You have to see her. If you are watching on YouTube, you'll see her face because we were trying to record our podcast earlier this week for you guys so it'd be ready to go with no issues. And we were
And
having challenges. Rikki, go
well,
ahead.
and the thing is, it wasn't that we were trying to record. We
Oh,
did
that's right. We
record.
did record.
We recorded earlier this week, done and dusted, ready to go Saturday morning for all you guys to hear. And I play it back. And
All you
Candace
heard, Rikki, skipping galore,
yes.
like craziness.
And Candace had told me when I first logged into our platform where we record that she had heard me skipping. And I was like, well, that's odd. And, thinking, oh, it's probably your Wi Fi, Candace. It's always your Wi Fi,
They always
Candace.
blame me. So I took the blame. I was like, up there, probably me, but it
We,
wasn't me this time.
yeah.
What was the problem, Rikki? Do you want to tell everyone what your what the problem was?
So we recorded the whole thing, tried to play it back, tried to produce it. The platform where we produce the podcast and add the intro was also skipping. And I was like, man, this Audacity, it's just, that's the name of the platform where we put the podcast together. What's wrong with Audacity? Like I'm blaming everything, but because it can't be me. Um, then we like panic. Candace came over to help me because she also wants to learn how to do this. And we were like, we need to figure this out. And Candace said, wow, you have a lot of tabs open, Rikki. And I
She
was
had
like,
like 500
yeah,
tabs
but
open.
I've always had a lot of tabs
Like
open.
500 though.
Not 500. I
Like
mean, like,
499. Like the whole computer
I
had
mean,
all of these tabs open.
sidebar, who can relate to me where you have like the perfect amount of tabs where it's like this window has these 10 tabs related to vacation things I'm looking into, and this window has 5 tabs related to my small group, and this window has 10 tabs for my part-time job. Yeah, and then I have to have the apps open too because
Right. Because that
like
makes sense.
right.
Yeah.
So we FaceTime Erin very abruptly and impromptu, and she answered the phone and was like, what's going on? And she was like, do you think maybe it's the sound chip or something? And then we checked that. we saw in my data that there was just a lot of data and a lot of apps. And Erin suggested, when's the last time that you shut down everything? When you closed every tab, when you shut down the computer completely, not just let it fall asleep. And I could not remember the last time I shut down my computer completely. And the tabs, they don't get closed. So it was a reminder and a huge metaphor in the moment for us to think about
But we said a
rebooting.
prayer. I held Rikki's hand. We blessed the computer. We said, thank you for all the tabs that have been open. They've served their purpose. And we shut the computer down.
We
And
did.
guess what? When it came back up, the skipping was completely gone.
Right. And I mean, you guys should hear it perfectly well today.
Yeah.
And it was hard. It was a hard thing to do because I'm used to my tabs. My tabs are like an extension of my brain. Like, does anyone feel that way with like your phone tabs?
Mhm.
If I know I want to remember something, I keep the tab open until it's done, and then I close it. So my phone probably has the same problem. I don't turn my phone off either. So like it's a lesson. It's a lesson in taking care of what we need to take care of and not overloading ourselves.
Well, I thought about how I related it kind of to our journeys because
Yeah.
sometimes, especially for some of us who have been on the journey for a really long time, to me, there's a lot of things that we mentally have not closed in terms of our thoughts,
Mhm.
our processes, how we do things. We
Mhm.
just are kind of on autopilot with the
Yeah.
way that we have a lot of tabs open. And
Mhm.
those are our thoughts and feelings about the journey and about our how we do it. And
Mhm.
sometimes you just need a reboot. We need to turn it all off. I've seen people as we've gone on this, they used to have, and they probably still do, the new member orientations,
Mhm.
where that could be a reboot, where you're like, you know what? Let me stop doing it the way that I think it's supposed to be done.
Mhm.
Let me turn off everything I thought I knew and let me do this like I just started.
Mhm.
That like today is my day one. I've never done this program before. I'm going to go to the
Yeah.
new member orientation and I'm going to act like a brand new Weight Watcher.
Mhm.
And I've seen people, I have done that. And that week when I adopted that mindset, I had like a wonderful loss.
Wow.
And it showed me, wow, I've been doing things my way
Mhm.
for a consistent period of time. I never really was doing, as we talked about, the real Weight Watchers program. I was doing my version of it. So when that happened with you, it helped me think about the fact that that's something that we need to do. Sometimes you have to have a reboot,
Mhm.
and starts off with consistency, yes, but
Mhm.
also being willing to, I think, change your mindset.
Yeah.
'Cause you had to let go of what you thought was okay, even
I
to turn off
did.
the computer, because you were like, "It's not that."
Yeah.
You were very determined that it
I
was not. Other
I
people would
was.
tell you. Yeah.
And there's a sense of security in doing things the same way. Like, I always keep these tabs open. It hasn't been a problem before. I was able to continue recording and, joining Google Meets for a small group or whatever it is for my part-time job. Sometimes I'm on a Zoom. So it's like none of those things had issues before. But when I look at it more closely, well, I guess there were some times where the Wi-Fi could have been better, or what I thought was a Wi-Fi problem could have been better, or, like we can say that things aren't a problem because we want them to not be a problem.
Mhm.
But when we look at it realistically, there probably are problems maybe attributed to not rebooting and not kind of paying attention to what's in the background that are there when we kind of
Yeah.
scrutinize it further.
I think we just get used to what I took it to is something you said, maybe you had just gotten used to
Mhm,
how things felt, like the
mhm,
little skips you may have heard when you were doing something. So you're like, that's not that big of a deal. And I
mhm.
think we also, understandably, because I mean, I joked with you, but I've had tons of tabs open and I have millions open on my phone. My husband's always upset with me. He's like, if you like press that thing that says close all, and it'll say close 552 tabs on my phone. But I think that we feel sometimes that we know, there's fear and letting go, because you're like, well, what happens if I need, because that's something you were saying, what happens if I need this list? Like we maximize how difficult it's going to be to recreate. So that keeps you stuck. So it's like, if I said, hey, Rikki, you just open it up again, you know, and then you're like, yeah, but I'm used to it being right here. I'm used to being able to have my bagel in the morning. I always have my bagel in the morning. So if I were to suggest that maybe to help your weight loss, I don't know, you don't have the bagel. And you're like, no, I've been able to lose weight in the past eating the bagel in the morning and it hasn't been a problem. But it's a problem now. For me, I told you, I'm now in a menopausal state for whether it's medically induced or not. So my body has different requirements than it did before I was in this stage. So for me to try to compare myself and what I have to do to be healthy to Candice at 20 years old or Candice pre-breast cancer, it's just different. It's not right or wrong. You're absolutely correct that it's been something that I've been able to do, but I can't do it now. That's hard.
It's
hard.
That's so hard. I mean, another perspective I'm gathering from this is when we're talking about rebooting, resetting, whatever you want to call it, there's so many different things that come into our mind from so many different people. And it might be, you know, if we're still relating this to a search in tabs, you know, it might be someone who said, oh, you should try keto, or, you know, you should try high interval intensity training, or you should try Pilates, or it worked for me. I lost 30 pounds, you know, being low carb. I did high fat, high protein, whatever it is. Those are like the little tabs we keep opening and we say, someone told me this worked for them, or they did a gut cleanse, or they did, you know, whatever that, you know, insert whatever popular fad diet or you know, thing into there. But I think those are the little tabs we have open in our mind. They might be physical tabs we put into our phones or our computers too, because we're like, okay, someone told me that worked for them. But it gets confusing when you have so many different things in the back of your mind that, you know, you might be on WW or you might not, but then you are like, okay, I'm trying keto today. Okay, that didn't work. I'm doing, you know, South Beach diet now. Like they're all little tabs and it's all in the back of our mind. And that's where that reset comes in of like, let me focus on what's important. What am I trying to do? I want to lose weight. I want to be healthy. How am I going to get there? Am I going to stick to Weight Watchers? Is there something else that works best for me? Am I going to focus on activity and low carb, whatever it is? Focusing on one thing, I think, is the big picture that I'm getting out of this.
Yeah, I agree. I think it, and I think that, but all of this centers around something that I think we have to accept, which is honesty with ourselves. So whether or not in the moment, I know I'm going back to the story, I'm tying it all together, but like in the moment, you had a moment where you had to be honest, like, okay, something's not working here. We've looked at the analytics. We've determined it's not the sound card. I accept that I am going to need to reboot my computer. Like whether or not
I'm the problem.
I'm the problem, right? Like it is something here. I'm going to have to do it. And there's humility. There's kind of a little bit of pain because you have to say, I did this. It's that poem that I love, the autobiography in 5 chapters, where it talks about Cliff Notes version. Each chapter represents a stage in this person's journey. And in the first journey, she's walking down a street and she sees a hole. She falls in the hole and she doesn't know why she fell in. And she's like, oh my gosh, how did I fall into this hole? Chapter 2, she sees the hole. She falls in again. And she's like, oh, I did it again. It's a habit. Chapter 3, she sees the hole. She walks, she sees it. She admits that she's falling in on purpose. And when you get to the end to chapter 5, she sees the hole and she walks around it.
Okay.
And the whole point of it is showing the progression of how we think about, I think, hard things. Like when you start to see a cyclical pattern, I continue to gain weight every summer, whatever it is. When are you going to own that this is something that you're choosing with your actions? And with that, there's pain. Because like in chapter 3 or 4, she's like, I know why I'm here. I know what I'm doing. I make a choice to move around.
Mm.
And I think that's what you did, joking or not. It may in that moment really have been serious. You were like,
Mhm.
okay, I'm gonna do it now. I'm gonna hit shut down.
Mhm.
I accept
And
that this was my fault. Not my
right.
fault, you know.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's guilt in that, even in this
Mhm.
scenario relating to the bigger picture scenario of life and weight loss. But I felt like, wow, not only was this a choice that I made to keep these tabs open and to let my computer just be overwhelmed, I have to deal with the consequences
Mhm.
of that choice. And the consequences, unfortunately, were that we had a great record and it couldn't be used at all.
Yeah.
Um, and that we had to schedule another time. That's why it's not going live at midnight. So, in the grand scheme of things, in that scenario, it's a little sad, but it's not a big deal. But it relates so much to this weight loss journey because there's so much guilt in my own journey of I'm dealing with the consequences of the choices that I've made. And it's hard to say, this is may have been my fault, but I'm not going to keep beating myself up on it. There's a solution. And I can go forward with that solution and deal with the consequences of that, which are the positive consequences. It may take time, but I can't keep living in the past and saying, man, I wish I had done this 10 years ago. I wish I had done this 5 years ago. I wish I had done better a week ago because I can't change that, but I can
Just love that.
change the future.
I just love that. I love it because what I'm also connecting, because this is bigger than we thought. Excuse me, bigger than we thought.
Mhm.
The fact that if you had stayed stuck in, I can't believe that I have all these tabs open and that I'm the reason that it was skipping. Oh my gosh. And you just kept the whole night because I did come over and I was like, hey, got to get home to my son and my husband. Unfortunately, got to put the baby to bed. If you had spent the whole night just lamenting
Mhm.
about the mistake you made, I can't believe it. Candice, look, they're all open. They're just all open. I can't believe it.
Mhm.
And you never took the step to say, okay, done, got it, reboot, let's restart. One,
Mhm.
you wouldn't have seen that it worked. The reboot
Right.
worked, right? You would have just stayed in this like negative space, looking at your computer with all these tabs going, why did I do that? And you wouldn't have seen that. I dare say that we've had a better conversation than the one that we initially recorded. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it was done and we did, but something good came out of it. You
Mhm.
learned something new. You learned from the mistake. Now you know that what you thought was a fact, that your computer
Mhm.
could handle all the tabs being open. You know that's not true. So
Mhm.
you know that for the future. And you had a better record. It took longer. You did have to wake up earlier or do whatever. However, but you did it. And it
Mhm.
wasn't as terrible as you thought it would be. And that's a
No.
lesson for me, for you, and I think anybody who's listening, that
Mhm.
sometimes the reboot that we think in our mind, like the fact that we're going to have to start over, one, starting with the beating up, we can
Mhm.
acknowledge, but sometimes you need to acknowledge and then just move on. Like,
Right.
I got it. I made a mistake. Boom, let's go.
Mhm.
Now let's get to fixing it. And
Exactly.
that's what a reboot to me means. Let's get to fixing it.
Yeah. And like you were saying, like it ends up we rehearse kind of what we think the reboot's going to be like. We think it's going to be painful. We think it's going to be hard. We think it's going to take forever. And like you said so beautifully, like it's not how we expect. It's easier. Was it hard to get up at 6 o'clock on a Saturday? Yeah. I mean, I've done it before. I used to get up earlier on the Saturday and I did it today and it wasn't as painful as I thought it was going to be. And again, reiterating what you said, we're having a great conversation and I agree that it's better than what we had before.
We're already at the end. And I think that I mean, I'm really going to take that with me. And
Mhm.
I was thinking about how we can apply it in terms of next steps for both of
Mhm.
us and for people who are joining us on this journey, because I've seen a lot in our Facebook group and I've seen it on Connect where people are just kind of really upset with themselves for not having made the progress that they felt they should have made
Mhm.
until this up to this point, and wondering what they need to do to get themselves to the next stage.
Mhm.
And I have been inspired by Rikki's 500 tabs and the turning off of the tabs. We have a picture too, I have to show you, that shows her face when she recognized that she had to turn these off. Because I think that is that really has inspired me to think for myself. All that she had to do was the action of being willing to accept what it was that happened, to do the thing, turn the computer off. So for us
Mhm.
to reboot, to wipe out everything that we thought we understood,
Mhm.
and then to initiate an action and to move forward.
Mhm.
And then expect the best,
Yeah.
because when you did it, you do have to understand there may be some tension. Like there may be some push points. Like you said, we did
Mhm.
have to wake up earlier. We did have to delete that recording, all of the other things. But it turned out better than we thought it could have been.
Yes, it did, and it requires maintenance,
Mhm.
but it's been easier to maintain because I don't have the same level tabs open right now. I don't have hardly any apps open,
Mhm.
and I turned my computer off after I was on it yesterday. I'm gonna turn it off after we're done here today. My behavior is changing because the outcome is healthier for my computer.
Mhm. And you always have that in the back of your mind of what
Mhm,
happened. So
mhm,
it's a reminder for when you may start to see all of the tabs open,
mhm,
and the part of you that says keep them open, you're gonna be like, nope,
mhm,
I don't want the repercussion
mhm.
of what I know happened the last time when I had them.
Exactly.
So you're not coming from a place of ignorance anymore. Maybe initially there was a little bit of an ignorance, like, no, really, I don't think it's that.
Mhm.
But now that you know better, you do better.
Exactly.
So this was just such a good conversation. I am telling you.
It was.
We were it was a joke between friends, the three of us, when Erin came on, but we just thought that this would be a wonderful thing to bring to the community, because there's so much relevancy to what it is that we're going through. If you ever want to find us, we are on Facebook. Everything, we made it very easy. Look for Real WW Talk everywhere. We're on
Yes.
Facebook, we're on Instagram, we are on Connect. There's not a Facebook and Real WW Talk on Connect, but all of us have our individual pages. You will find them in the show notes. If you do want to join my challenge on Honestly Candice, just go to Honestly Candice. It starts on Memorial Day and runs to Friday. That's it. I'm looking forward to seeing how we can reboot during that time,
Thank
and
you.
just connect with us. We've gotten so many wonderful emails from you all. We're working on responding now that we're back from like vacations and living life, but we love hearing from you. We love when you tag us on our social media and tell us how the walks have helped you or the podcast has helped you, because that's another place obviously that you can find us, is our podcast, Real
Yeah.
WW Talk. So Erin will be back soon. I think hopefully
And
next
2
time. 2
recordings.
reports. If
Yeah.
not, you love us. You love both of us. We're here. But we wish you a wonderful week, and we'll talk to you later. Bye.
Bye.